Movies. The average person can be inspired by them. They can make us laugh. Movies can keep us on the edge of our seat, and so much more. Maddie's Movie Mix is a podcast for movie enthusiasts of all kinds. We hope you enjoy the show.
Wait. Matt Logan!
Yes, we both had the same problem. You.
Listen. You smell something?
Yippee-ki-yay, this is Tyler Peterson.
I hate it when they do this to little kids like that.
What, abduct them?
Well, that too, but that seems like torture to have these kids in these movies like this that are the language. I mean, the C word.
Yeah.
A little 10-year-old girl saying the C word.
Right.
What?
That's why horror films are just messed up, man.
I guess.
And they always use children because children are innocent.
Yeah, no, from an entertainment standpoint, I get it, but I still don't think it's right.
No.
Black phone. So, let's just do the budget right away.
Tell me about it.
Did you know that it did $80.6 million and it had a $18.8 million budget?
I did not know that. I was having a hard time. So, when I first suggested this film...
So I text you, let's do Elvis,
yeah.
And you're like, black phone. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Hey, what'll be said is I at least put out options, and I'm not afraid to go into any genre.
For sure. We've challenged each other well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Elvis looked like a weird film, though, too. So I was like, I don't know if I actually want to see that movie too much either.
And it's always you wonder how accurate is
right.
it and some of that kind of stuff too. So,
and I mean, I really did enjoy Walk the Line, which is I know is a different film, but it's another pop icon.
Yeah, and what was the other one that I didn't see the Elton John one, but there was the
Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever. Yeah,
is that what it was called?
No, probably not.
Was it just Bohemian?
I don't remember.
Interesting.
Say, what do you think of this background? Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts and stuff too. You can listen there.
Interesting.
Nice little reminder.
How convenient.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
That was fun.
It is.
Putting those little weird things together. But anyway, how did it do $80 million? Because did people just not communicate that it was terrible and so they let their neighbors and friends go?
Well, do you want to hear some fun facts?
Sure.
Well, so
Not
like
really.
I said, when I was first search,
let's say they're facts
on Twitter. I saw on Twitter that this movie was out and was getting mixed reception.
Yeah.
So then I Googled it and just see times and stuff when we were actually looking at going to the film, and it said 2021 release when I was Googling it.
Really?
And apparently it was first released as a premiere back last September. And it was initially slated to come out in January, but then initial reception of it was really positive. And so then they moved it to a summer release to hopefully have a bigger crowd actually go to it.
Yeah. Well, it can stop right now when they've made money.
Right. And make a sequel.
Wow.
Blue Phone. With Tickle Me Elmo.
My mind's already messed up.
I didn't mind it
when you say stuff like that.
Yeah,
you didn't mind it?
No, I wasn't. I don't know. I thought it was. And here's again where my probably lack
it's
of
because
this
It's because
genre.
you were born in the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what the other worst thing about watching horror films and not liking the horror genre, especially when you're going to a theater?
Yeah.
Normally, people love previews, and they're a fantastic thing.
Yes, right.
And it's like, all right, I want to see this movie because I enjoy this genre. And so you see all other movies of action, superhero.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But when you go to a horror film, which is a genre, surprisingly, I don't like, what are all the previews?
Yeah.
People getting abducted, killed. They're the creators of it. I'm like, nope. Which is ironically another trailer I saw.
It's like I'll just walk in when it's gonna start, right?
Yeah.
And take my seat.
It's so hard to tell though. They've been previews. Have been
only ones
long.
in the theater.
For you?
Mm-hmm.
I was not, and I went on I guess I went on a Tuesday, which is
Thursday.
a discount.
Yeah.
But Thursday, I guess, would make sense for being more dead.
Well, the theater itself was full. I mean, there was other movies that were Top Gun was still people, all kinds of people in Top Gun.
Film.
Thor had just been released like an hour before.
Excited about.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've heard it's garbage, but it's like sexy garbage is what I read on Twitter.
Well, anytime that Mr. Hemsworth takes his T-shirt, I mean, they have the whole promo where he takes his T-shirt off,
exactly.
and people are like, oh.
Yeah. Spotify. Don't forget to listen on Spotify. You can find us there.
Man, we're everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
For better or for worse.
Our fans have been like remarkable. We've been kind of on break.
Yeah, we have.
And we've been getting all kinds of views and getting some messages and stuff too.
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
Dedicated.
That's really, really cool.
Have they been sending any emails?
What's that email again?
I say things.
It's LegitQ.
That's what it is.
At MaddiesMovieMix.com. Write that down.
That's right.
At least the
or
timestamp.
Repeat or go back 10 seconds so you can hear it again.
Yeah.
And not forget about it like some people.
LegitQ at MaddiesMovieMix.com. And what is the saying that we have?
Do we have a saying?
We have a saying.
Oh, tell us that you hate us? No.
No. That can go to you.
That's right.
No, send us your
questions.
Comments. Well, questions, comments, suggestions.
Or tell us where we're
and
wrong.
snide remarks.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where I got.
Yeah. Questions, comments, suggestions, snide remarks.
I'm just a little bit more emotional, so when snide remarks come through, I think it's just hate.
Yeah. So, but we appreciate that very much. We would love to, we're doing the 20-year throwback or flashback or whatever the heck we're calling it.
That's
and
right. We're just full of great memory today of what
I don't know.
we do here.
This movie fried my brain, I think, a little bit. It's disturbing. But anyway, actor chemistry. Let's go for it.
I really like the sister and brother dynamic.
Yeah.
I thought they were, it was fun to watch them.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
And how they were really close together because they had the hard relationship with their dad. And
that was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was.
Whew.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oof.
I did not like it.
No.
So I really enjoyed that. But again, that relationship with the dad also, I didn't like what was happening, but it made sense why they were so close.
Yes.
And with the mom being passed away and her gifts that she had passing to the daughter. So it was cool to see that. I really did like Ethan. I thought Ethan Hawke did well. He was very menacing.
He did very well, I agree, because he's just weird.
He is weird.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah, he was just in the TV show Moon Knight that I watched.
I haven't seen it.
I was like, this guy looks familiar because, I don't typically watch horror films because his other one was like Sinister, right?
Yeah, Ethan Hawke has been in a few different weird things.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought his character was weird in Moon Knight. But it makes, again, when you're talking about a serial killer, they're weird. Like, there's just something off.
He was in the first Purge.
Oh, I did like the Purge series.
Yeah, back 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's, I think,
he was in the first one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a cool I like those movies. It's a cool concept.
Did you see the recent one?
No, I did not see that one.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do like his character in Ethan Hawke, and it was, again, you don't really see his motivations of why he's doing things, but I don't think serial killers typically have one. They just like the thrill.
Right. So he had the mask, and then when he didn't have the mask, when they showed him abducting, Finn or Finney,
right?
He had like that white makeup on. Oh, by the way, we're on YouTube.
Right there.
Yeah, follow us on YouTube. But anyway, so he had the
really pale,
right? Make him look really pale, like the white makeup and stuff.
Right.
So he was trying to look like a magician.
Yeah,
and the
with
glasses
the top hat.
And, so that was interesting because to me that looked like the grabber character was probably didn't want to maybe see himself in what he was doing. Right. Like he
always had the mask.
Yeah, that was like he was ashamed
Yeah.
And so, which is an interesting psychological dynamic, I guess.
Right. But when he was in the mask, you could tell he was in a character.
Right.
So I thought that was a really cool mix between
Hammer
the two.
the subscribe. Did you see that?
It was really quick.
That was fast. There's little flashes. Yeah. So, and I liked how they switched out the mask.
Yep.
That was a neat feature.
Yeah.
That they had, but
that's costume design.
that is. I mean, yeah.
Don't get ahead of yourself. We have a lot to talk about.
Well,
the relationship I didn't fully understand, and they kind of touched it, was the relationship with the friend that he had. I forgot his name, but I would say Native American ethnicity.
Yeah, the
fighter,
the Robin kid.
Yeah.
Robin. What was his last name? Yeah, Robin.
That one was a little weird.
Yeah,
it was weird that like when we first saw him, it didn't look like there was it was him fighting the one kid, and Finney really just not wanting anything to do with that. Which, if he was my friend, I'd at least be care about how he's doing afterwards. And be available.
It felt like that character was written in later.
Right.
Like, oh, we need Finney to be able to fight.
Yeah.
And so we need to add this character in to teach him to fight in the spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was odd.
It was. It seemed like just an add-in, like, oh, boy, we got to the end of this, and he has to fight.
Right.
And so now how do we go back and add this in? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's what it felt like to me.
I did think it was interesting the way they did the flat, like, when the phone, spoiler
alert. Spoiler alert.
The phone rings. And only Finney can hear
spoiler,
it.
it's disconnected.
Yeah. Where are people coming from? You can't take calls like that.
Not in 1978.
Yeah, what do you mean a wired phone? Those don't exist.
Yeah. Well, 3.5.
Okay.
I want to tell you that.
I liked it. 4.2.
Okay.
The character chemistry seemed good. Like, there wouldn't be too much I would change between the dynamics between the characters, except for, again, that relationship he had with the friend. I thought it was cool how they did the flashbacks of, like, again, maybe this is more entertainment, but, like, how each character had a different way they tried to escape.
Right.
Because from my understanding, none of them could actually hear. And maybe they could. But I got the sense that Finney could hear because of what was going on with her mom.
Right, the mom. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
So
I don't think they could communicate, spirit thing
right.
or whatever, communicate with each other at all. I agree with that. It's the mom's the connection with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And it was interesting. Speaking of that, like how they introduced it with the phone.
Yeah.
And then they kind of had they had the phone and then the actor in the spirit after,
There was a progression each time the phone called.
Yeah. And so that was an interesting thing. But filming locations. Do you remember like what it looked like back in 1978?
Yeah, vividly. It was very black.
There was some like scenes. There was some like scenes that I'm like, oh yeah, I wore stuff like that when I was like 3-4 years old.
The poncho that the sister was wearing, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish we could wear that. Like, it was more socially acceptable to wear a poncho. I also really wish overalls were more socially accepted than what they currently are, because I would just wear them everywhere.
That's right. Yeah, I remember the overall story.
I love overalls.
Yeah, so very authentic locations.
Yep.
I mean, the houses looked like the 70s, which were obviously built, before, in the brick look and some of that kind of stuff in Denver.
Yeah.
Very, very common. The clothes, but that's in, what is that in again?
I think there's costume design.
Costume design. But that obviously ties in, but the locations, the cars to me is part of the location because
bike.
When you're, all of it. So I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't miss anything.
The basement was a little big.
You think so?
Yeah. I thought it was oddly big. I mean, it kind of makes sense with the house design, but I don't know. I don't go to too many old people's basements that has like a huge, what I would assume to be a bombshell cellar.
Sure. So the size of the house that it was, You're probably thinking of like a bigger square footage house basement.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed really big.
Sure.
And it was weird with how the bathroom was split up. And
because most of those old basements, like in like this old farmhouse I'm in,
yeah,
it is just the size of the foundation. There's no rooms. There's no, you know.
Right.
So
I guess,
you know, to me that was pretty normal.
Yeah.
But
I guess that makes sense.
I
did like how everything looked.
Yeah.
I guess it was weird that there were those rugs.
Yeah,
I don't understand why that was there.
I didn't understand a few of those things either.
But
and
I
the
don't,
freezer, you know, in the next room was, but whatever.
Yeah, you gotta feed the dog somehow.
Yeah, I guess.
My grandparents. Speaking of basements, I do visit of old people. Graham, if you're listening, you are very young at heart, and I love you very much. But their basement's very similar, and that's where they have their freezer.
Yeah, but in the next room. So normally you wouldn't have it in a different room. Like most of those old basements were just open.
Well, that's where I was confused too, because when you open the door, it's immediately stairs.
Yeah.
So unless like the stairs go up and then split off to another room and go down again,
which is a split entry house, but that wasn't a split entry anyway.
Right.
Let's
talk about architecture.
Yeah, too many. Yeah.
I like Victorian.
But I get that. It looked too big, but the layout to me was
made
weird.
sense. Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, but 3.7.
So what didn't you like? Because you said you really liked it. 3.7 is.
I really liked. What I didn't like is that it was just all the same place.
Yeah.
You know.
I thought the fence
they showed
the fence in like the chain fence backyards was interesting too. Of like everything seemed to have a specific route where people were going to when they were walking together, which I thought was interesting.
That did seem a little out of place.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I didn't like.
Yeah. But I didn't like that it was just the same routine, I guess. I like a little bit more variety. It's just a personal preference, that's all.
That's true. But they kind of explained that when they were talking.
The authenticity of the locations was really good.
Right. Because the brother of the madman, the grabber, was saying, like, they're all grabbed within this vicinity, so this is where the house has to be. So it kind of makes sense why it was a very close proxemics and why they didn't just randomly go off to other places.
Yeah. Well, you got to think about back then, too. You didn't venture out as far as like you do today.
It's less accessible.
Yeah. I mean, for
then.
sure. It was this little, I can't even remember what they used to call it, but, you know, I was in retail for a while. And so, like, you literally, this is your area.
Yeah.
And people won't go outside of it.
Right.
And as technology and cars got better, it would expand.
Expanded.
Of course. But
I give it a 4.1. I mean, there's not a lot. Like, if you're looking at the movie as itself, like, granted, I would have been nice to see other places, but wouldn't have made sense to the story unless they would have tied it back more into the flashbacks.
Sure.
So, and you did see different locations within that with the pinball and things like that. And again, it's mostly centralized around kids being able to just basically bike wherever they can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. It's just a personal preference. That's all. Costume design. Let's do that because we're going to skip cinematography for right now.
Cinema. Really?
Yeah, let's go. Let's change it up.
I liked that mask. And by I liked it, I hated it.
Yeah.
Especially when he was just sleeping in that chair. Like when he was on top.
Yeah.
Waiting for him to come out. Mm-hmm. Like it was really like just... Again, Ethan Hawke, weird. It was just strange, which I really So the mask was a highlight. Whenever you saw the mask, it was interesting to see how it was configured because you could take the way it was designed is you could take out the top half, you can take out the bottom half, and have a lot of different options of the way it looked.
So did he Velcro that on, you think?
I have no idea.
I mean, that was kind of...
It could be like just pins that you could just drop into the bottom part of the mask, and the bottom part
his face, though, it was just on his face, right?
Well, that's true, because he did have just the top part, and he just had the bottom part, so...
There was no, like, straps, no... Yeah.
Probably
magnets?
super glue.
Maybe he put magnets under his skin?
Yeah. Maybe that's his superpower. He could just put things on his face and it sticks.
It's like Morpheus's sunglasses in the Matrix.
That's
His
right.
Clip on his. But anyway.
But other than that, there was not a lot of intriguing with the costume design. I did like the poncho with the little girl and the braids that she had.
The authenticity of that costume design, I think, was really, they did a really good job. But it was very generic.
Yep.
Yeah.
They could have, if we want to talk about red dress type things, they could have had more color on the mask at certain times. Like, could you imagine if he came down when he was really upset? Like, the frowny face was big. But, like, could you imagine if it was, like, a blood red if he had on the top part of his mask? Like, that would have been absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have done things because color was a big thing in the late 70s.
Yep.
I mean, it just
groovy
was.
disco.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so
give me the tie-dye.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot of colors in the costumes at all.
Yeah.
You know, but
and I understand the movie is called Black Phone, but the phone was very indistinguishable. And I don't know if that was just like by design, but it wasn't very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think probably because they wanted it to just sit there and be a thing.
Yeah.
And then what connected it was probably. Yeah.
I still thought it would have been more fun. Add some color.
3.8 I'm at.
Yeah, I gave it 4.0.
You can keep talking.
I can.
I'm gonna
sometimes
get some Gatorade. I've been out in the sun a lot the last few days, so I'm like
getting some
hydrated.
electrolytes.
Yeah.
I do not tan outside.
No, you burn.
No, I turn into what one would call a lobster.
Mm.
And then like
Lobsters are good.
all good crustaceans, about 2 to 3 weeks later, I molt like a madman, and I just have skin everywhere.
I'm sure your wife loves that.
Yeah, she loves seeing my skin plastered to the couch and everything else. But
she should come and watch sometime.
She should.
Yeah.
Man, she could crochet while she's doing it and just listen to us and have a good time.
Yeah, and not make any noises or laugh at you.
That'd be pretty amazing.
That
I
would
know
be.
I personally could never do that.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
She could even be the producer.
Yeah, right? Who's that over in the corner? Is that the grabber? No comment.
That's right. That's right. This is where I don't talk.
Cinematography.
Did you have things you wanted to talk about it? Or are you just skipping it for funsies?
No, I just skipped it just to get into the costume design because filming location costume design on that film was like, when you do a period piece like that, it's really important.
They're tied together.
Yeah, they're really tied together. So cinematography, you could literally show this to somebody if they didn't know who the actors were in their current, like Ethan Hawke, if you didn't know any of that. I think you could show this film to somebody and they would actually say, you could tell them this was filmed in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And I think that you could like literally sell it to them that way.
Yeah.
That was good.
Very authentic.
I really liked that.
Yeah.
So I think that they did a really good job of making it look like that. Even the grainy,
That's what I was just thinking about.
Yeah. So
starting off with America's Greatest Sport pastime.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, we can just stay on the scene for as long as we want because I don't want to deal with what's going to be happening after this baseball game gets done.
Right. You're getting to love the characters, you know, really quickly. But yeah, so I like that. I think I'm going to change it. I gave it a 3.2 originally. I think I'm going to bump that to a 3.8. Just kind of talking about it a little now.
Pump it up.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I thought it was really well shot. Again, what this film does well, I think, is making it seem very authentic, and it could almost be a documentary if like this were to happen to somebody. Like, again, the budget you said was like 16,
18.8.
Yeah, and so they did a very good job of. Again, it felt like a documentary, which The Grabber I think was based off of a few different known serial killers.
Yeah.
I read
because it's a short story.
Yeah, it was based.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. And I've never read the short story because surprisingly, I also don't read anything that has horror in it. I would much rather read things that allow me to sleep at night. But from
so this fall, probably late October, early November, my next project is just kind of been signed off on, so to speak, and it's an audio drama. It's going to be a horror audio drama. You're not going to be one of the actors. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not going to be
as
a
long
horror.
as I'm not getting. I mean, I could be an innocent bystander where you just see me in the background. As long as I don't get abducted, I'm fine.
No, it's an audio drama. You don't see anything.
I can be the one
you
breathing.
Gotta be an actor.
I'll see breathing.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hard pass on that.
It's not going to be a horror. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, that's nice.
Just getting you ramped up.
I'd be much more excited about anything that's not horror. I mean, that was the thing we talked about after this film got done. Again, it wasn't really there were parts where I don't know what the actual word is. I was going to say twinged, but that's definitely not a real word. Where I was a little skittish. Like I was like this squirmish. I was a little uncomfortable. Especially when, again, spoiler.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
We talk about spoilers sometimes. And sometimes I do a terrible job of not saying it's a spoiler. And so just in case you're going to watch this film after this great critique we've given it, this is going to be a spoiler, where the girl was floating and it was all bloody, and the Finney could hear just basically the blood tapping.
Yeah.
That was nope. Again, kids, when they are mangled and not looking like what kids should look like, immediately I'm just going to be this is just very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't even know where I was going with that because I got distracted by thinking about it and being... What were we talking about besides children just...
We're talking about the score.
Score. Did I give my score for cinematography?
No.
All right, I'll give it a 3.9.
just to get me a little bit.
But the score as well. I don't remember much about that either.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I thought it was terrible.
Yeah,
There were some good sound effects in there, but I thought the score itself was... I just didn't... did nothing for me at all.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It didn't scare me. It didn't pump me up. It get me pulled in. But you know what I mean? Boom, boom. But even in the baseball, you could have had something there that was a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, things could have definitely...
me out to the ball.
Yeah.
What you normally do is where it's very
It would have been very simple.
Songs.
Yeah, very simple stuff that they could have done. So 2.7.
Yeah, I
I
can tell you a single note that was played in the score. And not that was bad. It was just really not my focus point. And again, I was going to be talking about, I wasn't really scared in this film. It didn't feel like a horror film to me for the most part. Again, it's a very sad story.
Right.
People getting abducted, and there's some...
It's real.
It's real.
This kind of stuff happens still today.
Right. So I think... That's where I sometimes struggle with horror of there's the Scream movies or Texas Chainsaw Massacre where they definitely go for the jump scares. This one, again, if we're going back to cinematography, it was very slow pans. There was very few times where they never really set up a jump scare. They just let the scene build itself.
Right. There were some jump scares in it, but they weren't, to me, they weren't very scary. It takes a lot to scare me.
Well, it doesn't take a lot to scare me, and I wasn't scared. Yeah, for the most part.
Right. So that's why I don't judge that very well because I mean, there's been people literally jumping out of the dark at me, and I'm like, oh, cool story, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just throat punch.
It's just not just doesn't scare me.
That's because
I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it just really, really rarely happens.
So now we just challenged all our viewers of what they should be doing.
Yeah, good luck.
But so going to the score, the music wasn't scary either.
Just added to the security system around here too. Yeah.
Look at that. So someone gets through.
Her name's Quinn.
Quinn. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of a security system because you can't sleep at night anymore.
Well, for now.
Yeah, but the score didn't normally you build a lot of suspense. There's, again, like we talked about, like you could play classic songs during the baseball. You could do something fun during like the magician, like, oh, let's see a magic trick. Yeah. But they didn't really do any of that. I couldn't tell you anything when it comes to the music. So I give it 2.5.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Did not help the movie at all.
Overall entertainment.
I enjoyed the story.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. And again, I don't like, well, obviously I don't like child abductions, but like I don't like typically these type of things where someone gets abducted. This guy is like basically abusing the children, murdering them. And then on top of that, the kids can, like the child, the Finnegan can see past children. But I thought it was an interesting concept that he was able to hear those kids, try all the different techniques to try to get out. I thought that was an interesting premise. The one that didn't make sense to me was the one where he was digging the hole, because he did that for a long time and then it just didn't go anywhere. Like, why didn't... It did tie into, it was a trap. Right.
I mean, it didn't make sense until then.
Yeah.
But that was an accident.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So I, again, don't typically like these films. I wouldn't watch it again. But like for a horror film, again, it didn't scare me, which I think helps the score in this sense. So I gave it a 3.6.
Okay. I'm a 2.4.
Okay.
It was not entertaining. For me,
yeah,
I think the story is important for people to understand that this stuff happens.
Jump scare. I realized where it happened when she was riding her bike, and then all of a sudden all the dead people showed up.
Yeah, sure.
Again, I get scared a whole lot easier than anyone else.
Yeah,
and so when that happened,
get me.
I know,
but I can see that. Yeah, totally.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So. Okay, John Adams. Did you ever see that little mini-series? There's a little mini-series called John Adams.
I did not.
And so you don't watch that for entertainment. I mean, some of it's entertaining.
Yeah.
But you watch it for the history and you watch it for educational purposes and things like that, right? You go into it knowing that.
Yeah. It's like the musical Hamilton.
There you go. So if you go into a film like this thinking, okay, this is part of history, blah, 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 okay, fine.
Yeah.
But entertainment value, no.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. Overall rating.
I think overall it was not as bad as I was expecting to be, which is maybe not the perspective I should go into horror films.
See, it was way worse than I thought it would. I mean, I thought it would be pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was way worse. So we're totally opposite on that one.
And again, it's the whole perspective of like you're wanting to go in to be scared, like not scared, but be entertained through that genre.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really don't want to be scared, but I'll go to it so we can review it and talk about it. And then I didn't end up being scared, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, overall, again, sometimes overall entertainment's all about being exciting, just being fun to watch. But again, if you're talking about kind of the lens that you were discussing of like history, genre, being accurate, I thought it was enjoyable in that sense. And so going to the overall score with that, I gave it a 3.8. Okay. Again, I liked the character. I really did enjoy the character development and how they interacted for the most part.
I did
together.
too, but if you look at, I guess, yeah. My perspective is a 2.1 on overall rating.
That is a perspective.
It's, I think that it says a lot, though. I didn't know that it was released in 21 September.
Yeah.
That says a lot, right? That if they released it then, it didn't do very well.
Well, I don't think it was released. I think it was a premiere. I really didn't understand that whole process of.
I've heard of that before, like a long time ago. Where they'd premiere it and then kind of judge how it did.
Right.
And some of those premieres would then go like straight to video.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Not good.
Right. Not good. So let's not even waste.
That's right.
You know. So I think that says a lot about the film to me. If they like the premiere didn't go that well.
It did go well, which is why they pushed it from January to the summer.
I thought you said okay. So why? But usually the premieres will be right at release time.
Right. Which that's why I was really struggling of understanding how this whole release schedule came out.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. But I understand what you're saying of like
something didn't go right though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it had
like even
so
reading,
Firefly.
Yeah.
Right? Firefly did horribly.
Yeah.
When the
they
series
just continued the series. Oh yeah.
The series was horrible.
Right.
Nobody watched it, you know, all of it. They had big budget, nobody watched it until it was canceled.
Yeah.
And then everybody watched it.
Which is really weird sometimes.
Yeah. So that's kind of my point, right? Like it didn't do well. So in the premiere.
You're right.
Otherwise they would have scheduled it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so I don't know.
That's where I was confused with what I was reading. It didn't make sense.
Yeah. They made money on it. So,
yeah, they did.
I mean
almost 3 or 4 times. I mean it just released. I don't even know when it technically released. I think it was was it last week or
3 weeks ago.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like 3 weeks worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still pretty like again
it's
for
getting
this
close
genre.
it's getting close to, you know, I mean it's getting close to Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. I mean
just a few $1 billion off. Yeah. I don't know.
So there it is.
It's a black phone.
That's all, folks. Oh wait, no, we got to do the whole. What do we got to do now? Oh, the email.
The email at
what
LegitQ at something at Maddie's Movies Mix.
Yeah,
LegitQ at Maddie'sMovieMix.com.
.com.
There it is.
For questions, comments, suggestions,
and slide remarks.
Snide.
I was thinking about baseball.
Oh,
you can slide into those.
Okay, that's all.
So I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
So it's done.
It's done.